What if survival was not just about escaping monsters, but about confronting what it means to be human? A world where the sun itself becomes your enemy, where stranger knock at your door, yet opening it could mean your end. This is No, I'm Not a Human, and it may not just be a horror game. It may be a question with no easy answer. On this YouTube channel, I like to lose myself in the intricacy of pop culture. But what I enjoy most is dissecting video games, especially those that are less accessible, those strange games that sometimes make me feel lost in the clouds. We step once more into the unknown, for this is another chapter of Reverie. The game is set against a sun that keeps growing harder and harder, turning the world outside into a dangerous and forgiving place. But that's only the beginning. Strange human-like beings, visitors, begin to emerge, and their intentions are far from friendly. Humanity itself is on the brink of apocalypse, and you are just an ordinary man doing your best to help people find shelter from the relentless heat and danger outside. At first, it seems simple. Open your door, help those in need, but soon a chilling realization sets in. The people knocking on your door might not all be human. Some are visitors, and letting them in could mean inviting death itself. These visitors are like wolves in sheep's clothing. By welcoming the humans, the innocent and desperate, you may unknowingly be welcoming a predator disguised as one of them, possibly setting the stage for a macabre scene in your home. If a visitor is hiding among your residents, you could well find yourself with a dead body in the morning. So your only options is to try to not let them in. But if you have already let them in, your last chance is to identify them and kill them before they kill your residents. Every decision matters. Every knock on your door could bring safety or doom. However, the world outside is burning and chaos is waiting at every threshold. How far would you go to protect those who come seeking refuge, when even a single mistake could be your last? From the very start, the game immerses you in a world of ambiguity. You must survive while trying to determine who is human and who is something else. This setup immediately introduces tension. Every decision feels heavy because your understanding of the world is incomplete. And the stakes are always life or death. The origins of the visitors are deliberately contradictory, and that ambiguity is what makes them terrifying. Each theory reveals not just what the visitor might be, but what humanity feels about itself. Some believe visitors are simply humans infected by a brain parasite. If that's true, then killing them is not killing monsters, it is killing victims. Michel Foucault often wrote about how societies decide what is normal and how those categories justify control or exclusion. Here, the infected are still human, but the label visitors make them killable. This is quite uncanny. They look like us, they act like us, but something invisible makes them terrifying. And the contradictions deepen. Some visitors don't even realize they're infected. A person can live in denial of their true condition, acting as if nothing has changed. And yet, for those around them, the danger is undeniable. It leaves the player in a moral limbo. Another theory suggests visitors come from beneath the earth. They are creatures born in tunnels fundamentally different from humans. If visitors are native to the Earth death, they embody everything humanity has buried. Death, chaos, animality. They are disturbingly close, right beneath our own feet. Perhaps it is even a creation of the planet to eradicate the invasive species, the human race. A third view imagines visitors as aliens who wear the skin of their victims, echoing John Carpenter's The Thing. Here, the horror is not about biology, it is about trust. If anyone could be an alien in disguise, then social bonds collapse. The FEMA is a government organization responsible for coordinating responses when disasters occur. In No, I'm Not a Human, FEMA is tasked with investigating and identifying the visitors in order to resolve the situation. In the game, they claim to be managing the crisis. Apparently, they identify over 27,000 dangerous visitors. But some characters suggest FEMA may be lying, possibly to control the population. Indeed, are those 27k people really all visitors? Because throughout the game we can easily see the fact that they take people, no matter what they are, for their research. And of course, you will never see those people again. The absurdity doesn't stop there. Remember, the visitors are almost identical to humans. But FEMA, through the so-called research, found signs to identify the visitors. Signs such as white teeth, red eyes, or even dirt on their fingernails. So in other words, ordinary human traits. Actually, it's even worse. These signs are so common, you could just wash your hands or smoke cigarettes to make them disappear, making the whole thing both pointless and questionable. It looks like FEMA isn't telling the whole truth. It looks like they are trying to manipulate us. I think FEMA is trying to weaponize fear. The perception of danger is enough to control behavior and justify extreme measures. Hannah Arendt wrote that totalitarianism thrives when people can no longer trust one another. Paranoia and fear dissolve solidarity. In my opinion, this makes perfect sense there, because towards the end of the game, FEMA takes control of the government, justifying this by saying that the leaders were suspicious and potential visitors. Amid all this ambiguity, the player becomes an active participant in the world's paranoia. You welcome strangers into your shelter. You observe, evaluate, and sometimes kill based on signs that may or may not be real. Make too many mistakes and you reach a specific ending, a consequence of overzealous judgment. These dynamic forces the player into moral reflection. Every action matters. Survival is not just about food, water, or physical safety. It's about ability to make difficult decisions under extreme uncertainty. The game effectively transforms the player into a microcosm of society under stress. When fear is universal, how do we decide who lives, who dies, and what morality even means? As the game progresses, a mysterious cult emerges, devoted not to a person, but to death itself. This cult serves as a lens into how humans cope with chaos and the weight of existence, a mirror reflecting the fragile way we seek meaning when the world offers none. Faith in this context becomes both refuge and surrender. The cult members embrace forces beyond understanding, giving themselves over to the inevitability of death, a silent rhythm they accept with trembling reverence. The cult, by embracing the deity, confront the abyss and voluntarily become part of the eternal recurrence of life and mortality, acknowledging the inevitability rather than denying it. In this dance with death, in this song about divinity, the human spirit bends, trembles, and yet persists, finding in surrender a fragile, almost poetic strength. One interpretation of No, I'm Not a Human frames the game as a vast, unsettling metaphor. The word itself becomes a body struggling to survive a relentless virus. In this reading, the sun is no longer just a star in the sky. It is a fever, growing harder and more unbearable each day, until leaving one's house becomes impossible without dying. Can you see the vision? The word is hot, like the body when it's tried to fight a virus. The humans trapped inside their houses are like blood cells, isolated and vigilant. Each decisions are like a pulse of defense against an invisible threat. And what is this threat? The visitors. They are the virus, slipping through cracks, exploiting moments of weakness, corrupting from within if the body or the mind lets them. In this metaphor, failure is not only personal, it's about the body, the community, the fragile order of the world is at stake. No, I'm Not a Human is not just a survival horror game. It is an exploration of fear, morality, identity, and the fragile foundation of human society. The visitors may be stronger, the sun may burn with impossible fury, and death itself may lurk behind every door. But the true terror lies elsewhere. It lies in the choices we make, in the doubts that haunt us, and in the way survival reshapes what it means to be human. What are you willing to sacrifice to survive? Trust, morality, your very sense of self? Every moment forces us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that to protect life, we may slowly abandon the very things that give it meaning. And perhaps that is the greatest horror No, I'm Not a Human has to offer, showing how thin the line between humanity and monstrosity truly is. It's time to open your eyes. The greatest fear we find is not the visitors at the door, but the shadows in our mind.